Okay, so let's jump into this. I've been looking over this material you sent about, well, it's really fascinating. It's about those 80s and 90s cartoons popping up everywhere again, and how that Studio Ghibli look never seems to go out of style.
It is interesting.
It feels like, you know, more than just a retro thing, right? Like there's this real nostalgia factor.
Yeah.
So what we really want to get into in this deep dive is, well, why are these particular styles so popular right now, especially online? And what does it all say about how we, like, connect to those childhood memories?
Right.
We'll look at what made those classic cartoons work, the magic of Ghibli, and maybe even some unexpected ways those two things could be linked.
Yeah, I think that one interesting aspect of this is how the article you shared, the title, oh boy, it's a long one. It's I'm
glad I don't have to say that one.
I know, right? But anyway, it means the viral return of 80s, 90s cartoons and Ghibli's magical aesthetic.
Gotcha.
Right. It's by Junimi Kanjinon, and it's published in March 2025.
Okay.
So it suggests that the visual language and the emotional impact of these two, well, on the surface, very different types of animation, are really connecting with people, especially folks who, you know, grew up watching those shows.
I see where you're going with this. It's not just watching old shows. It's about something deeper, right?
Exactly. Like tapping into those feelings you had as a kid.
And the article really goes for it, calling those 80s and 90s cartoons a golden age.
Yeah.
Makes the point that back then there were only a few channels, so those cartoons became like this huge shared experience for a lot of kids. Shows like, you know, Tom and Jerry, Tom and Jerry, DuckTales, Man Up Native Jungle Book, Human Detective Dragon Ball. These weren't just shows, they were like events. And you've always been someone who loves to really understand things quickly and thoroughly, and I think what's fascinating is that these shows, with their stories and characters, really stuck with people. They obviously did something right.
Absolutely, and I think that what's worth considering is that it's the writing, the screenplays, and the characters. They weren't one-dimensional. They had depth.
Yeah.
Even in cartoons.
Yeah.
You know, like the article points out, shows with characters like Mowgli or those guys from Dragon Ball, they gave us early examples of character development, you know, and they touched on these themes like friendship, morality, sacrifice, the thrill of adventure. It's pretty amazing to think about how much those things shape us.
And it makes sense that as people who grew up with these shows are now, you know, adults dealing with grown-up stuff, they might find comfort in those memories. That's what the article argues, that these memories become a kind of refuge.
A safe space.
Exactly. And here's where things get even more interesting, right? Social media comes along and it amplifies all of this. It showcases new cartoons that are specifically designed to evoke the 80s and 90s. You must be seeing this all the time, right? Scrolling through your feed and bam, a blast from the past.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's where it gets really intriguing, because it's like, why these visuals? Why this feeling? And I think that's where Studio Ghibli comes in. The article shifts focus to them, and rightfully so. I mean, Studio Ghibli is a giant in Japanese animation, known for those incredibly artistic films like, you know, totally Coco time contain like My Neighbor Totoro.
No. Spirited Away. Princess Mononoke.
And this Ghibli resurgence online is no accident. The article connects it directly to this whole nostalgia thing we've been talking about.
Oh, absolutely.
But let's dig a little deeper into Ghibli's appeal. Why is it so viral? What's the secret sauce? The article brings up a few key points. The first one, and this one's interesting, is the appeal of hand-drawn art. In a world that's become so digital, so perfect, there's something special about that hand-drawn style. Like, you can almost feel the artist's hand in it. What do you think about that? What stands out to you about this compared to all the digital stuff? You know, I think it's the warmth. It's the slight imperfections. Like you said, you can practically feel the artist's presence in each frame. And that creates a connection, I think, with the viewer, a human connection. And especially now, when we're bombarded with digital images, you know, everything's so perfect and smooth. This hand-drawn style, it's like a breath of fresh air.
A reminder of a different time, maybe?
Perhaps.
The article also mentions natural beauty and emotionality. Ghibli has this really unique way of depicting nature, and the article says that this connection to nature is a big part of the nostalgic appeal. I mean, do you ever feel that, like a sense of calm when you see those natural landscapes in Ghibli films? Like a contrast to the artificial world we often find ourselves in.
You know, it's interesting because nature does seem to have that effect on us, that sense of peace and tranquility. And it's almost like a reminder of simpler times, maybe, when things weren't so cluttered, you know? And then you combine that with the emotional depth of Ghibli stories, and it's a potent mix.
A real 1-2 punch. And the final point the article makes about Ghibli's appeal is that it might be a reaction to feelings of isolation. In this crazy, fast-paced world, we're more connected than ever, but it can also feel really isolating.
Yeah, I get that.
People are searching for those core feelings, those comforting feelings from childhood, and Ghibli films, they offer that, you know, with their gentle pace and their themes of connection. Does that idea that art can be a refuge in a digital age, does that resonate with you?
I think it does, yeah. I mean, think about it. Art can be a balm for all the anxieties of modern life, you know? And the article touches on this really important point.
Where?
That in a world that can feel, like you said, isolating and overwhelming, the worlds that Ghibli creates, they offer this sense of emotional grounding. It's like a counterpoint to the impersonal nature of all the digital interaction we have.
Okay, now buckle up, because this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
The article goes on to talk about this trend where people are using filters and AI to like transform their photos into the Ghibli style. And it makes this wild connection. It says these Ghiblified photos actually resemble characters from the Doraemon cartoon series. Talk about a curveball, right?
It's not a connection that would jump out at you right away.
Not at all. But it does raise the question, are there these deeper similarities between these two worlds, these two styles?
Right. And the article actually goes into detail about that, you know. Talks about specific Doraemon characters and their personalities. Like you have Nobita Nobi with his, you know, childlike innocence, and Shizuka Minamoto, always so cheerful and optimistic. Dekizuki, the smart one. Then you have Giant, you know, big and boisterous. And of course, Sunio, always scheming. The article suggests that these very traits, these personalities, they're echoed in the soft lines and the colors of the Ghibli transformations.
So it's more than just a surface level visual thing.
I think so, yeah. It's like the article is saying that those emotional expressions, those colors in Ghibli, they have a simpler but still very vibrant counterpart in Doraemon. So when people do these Ghibli transformations, they're not just getting the look, they're tapping into those qualities that we associate with those characters. The kindness of Nobita, the warmth of Shizuka. What do you think about that connection? Does it track with what you've seen? You know, it's fascinating because those characters, they become archetypes, right, in our culture. We know them, we recognize them. And I think the article is suggesting that the emotional language, even in its, you know, more straightforward form in Doraemon, it resonates with the more subtle emotionality of Ghibli. It's like those softer lines and muted colors, they act as a bridge. They access those similar feelings of comfort and nostalgia we get from both.
And that connection, the article argues, could be a major reason why this whole Ghibli transformation trend is exploding online. It's not just Ghibli's magic. It's that link to Doraemon, which adds its own layer of nostalgia. It's like a double dose of good memories.
Yeah, it's like a nostalgia cocktail.
Exactly. And then the article goes on to break down how social media itself contributes to this viral spread.
Right.
It points to the power of, you know, those short videos, the illustrations on platforms like Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest. Everywhere you look, there's Ghibli-inspired artwork, memes, you name it. It's just constant exposure.
And it keeps the trend top of mind.
For sure. And the article also mentions fan art and throwback posts, you know, people actively reminiscing about old cartoons and Ghibli. It keeps that energy going, that shared enthusiasm.
And let's not forget the accessibility factor, right? Like those filters and effects that digital creators are making, they make it so easy for anyone to jump in on the trend.
Transform their photos, share them with their friends. It's like nostalgia for everyone.
Exactly.
So to put it all together, it seems like this wave of nostalgia for those 80s and 90s cartoons, this enduring love for Studio Ghibli, it's more than just a fad. It's tapping into something really deep.
Right. A longing for those feelings, those visuals from childhood.
And that unexpected connection the article makes between the Ghibli transformation and Doraemon, that adds a whole new layer to this whole thing. It suggests a shared language, a visual and emotional language that connects these different styles and really speaks to a wide audience.
And you know, here's where it gets really interesting to me. The article concludes that nostalgia isn't just about the past. It's a form of comfort in the present. It's like that love we had for those 80s and 90s cartoon characters. It didn't disappear. It's being rekindled, reimagined through Ghibli and social media. It's a powerful reminder that the joy, the imagination of childhood, it's still within us.
I love that. It's not gone, it's just transformed. And it leaves us with something to think about, right? In this world that's always pushing forward, always looking ahead, what's the value of revisiting our past? And what other, seemingly unrelated things might be connected by these same threads of nostalgia and shared experiences? It's really something to ponder.
It is. It really is.
Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.
My pleasure.
Until next time.
ফিরে চল মাটির টানে যে মাটি আঁচল পেতেছে আছে মুখের পানে